What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Savage Land. Welcome to another episode of The Table. And we're starting off the table with a new, we're going with the Joes this time, of course, which we talked about in this episode is called The Hike. And as you can see here, I got my first scene set up, just kind of meddling around the first day, see what I can get done. And of course, they got off the river and they blew up the boat. Now, with the introduction, I'm gonna kind of go behind the scenes, take the camera off the post, and kind of show you how I have this scene set up. I think I got something I'm kind of satisfied with. I've taken not quite a few pictures, quite a bit, just trying to get the lighting right and just playing around. I'm already feeling good and creative. But we're gonna take the camera off the tripod. Like I said, this episode is called The Hike. This is the hike in between as they go to the Gijoe headquarters. So they might have some people on the trail who I don't know. I don't know if any of those cobras survived. Well, they did survive. Did they get after them? And they might come across some pretty strange things in the swamp out here. So we'll see what's up. But let's take it off the tripod and let's take a little back look at the scene I have set up. So first off, we'll step back. And as you can see here, I got it lit up like the 4th of July in the back area here. Got the the ring light in the front. And what I've done here, once again, I'm trying to make a frame when I mess around. Pretty much took the same stuff that I had, as you can see from the side, the plants. But what they're doing, they're almost kind of like placeholders for jungle vine right now. And the only thing you really get in the scene is pretty much this, which looks pretty cool here, but you see like all the other craziness going on behind there. And then of course I got my evergreen trees here, the mini ones, and you really don't see them. I just try to fill the scene up to make that hard line for me. And these logs came from my daughter. Tried to take these back from me, but I gave them to them. And it comes from that Walmart set that everybody likes to get with the military guys. It's kind of like in 1/18 scale. Well, I brought a log truck a couple of years ago, and I just opened up this summer, gave it to my daughters, and I knew I would get these logs back. Matter of fact, I need one more. But in depth perception, these logs look pretty good. They could use a wash though. You see, they're for like preschool kids. But they have that sculpt on there like a real log. So they're pretty much cool to use. And of course I got the other Christmas tree, evergreen tree here, the bendy wire. And of course another tree, just using that for jungle vine and hang here, creating a framed out scene here, which looks pretty marvelous, man. But as you can see here, we got Mutt and Junkyard in the front. They already been off the boat. They're ready to go. Tonal Rat's looking like, yo, come on, let's go, man. Let's get out of here. We got Torpedo getting himself together here. He's got his flippers in his hand, his gun. He's looking back at the fire that's turned into an explosion. Gun bazooka is looking, making sure there's no cobras around. And we got Low Light. Low Light's so cool. He don't give a damn about that shit blowing up. He's the guy in the movie that has the explosion behind him and shit is like flying past him and he doesn't care. And of course we got my main man, the jungle guy, Rakondo, with the torch who's set the flame. As you can see here, I have a light shining in on them. On the flame effects, kind of, you know, giving it that illuminated look, man. And we'll go around right quick and I'll show you the other light, which starts from right here and goes up a wire past the Joes here, and I make it brighter or dimmer right here, and the cord goes around to right here, trying to give direct light on those explosion effects here, as you see you got here. And I got a Dragon Ball Z like kind of lit up. That's what this yellow things here, just trying to give it just a little bit more depth back there, and it worked. Alright, so I got this little scene here, man. I think it's quite funny, man. I got Swamp Thing here. I incorporated somebody other than G.I. Joe into some photos. And I got Junkyard here, pissing on his foot. And I did that with some saran wrap in the distance. I think it can pass off as liquid. But you can see the guys looking. Some guys looking at Mutt. Of course, some guys looking at Junkyard. Of course, Mutt sees it's like, oh my God. Then you got my man Recondo here. And then some guys are just looking up at this sheer giant green man here. But I think it's a pretty cool scene. I think I got everybody kind of doing something different. And I like it. I'm getting a little close up of the saran wrap. I'm playing off as P here. So that ain't nothing but some saran wrap I twisted up. I got some sticky tack on the back of his butt. And I think it's doing the job. But Swamp Thing looks great. Now, I know I said on Soapbox a couple of weeks ago, McFarlane is dog crap. But it is, man, to a certain degree. But every now and then he drops a jewel. But this thing right here cannot stand up to save his life. It's about the only position I can get him in. And that's how I say McFarlane kind of drops the ball again, man, on certain things. But it's a good looking figure. Great texture, great scope, but it worked out great for this photo. So just some little behind the scenes stuff here. And then also I got a red light kind of shining on that, trying to give some type of hue, man. But I like the way this kind of like jungle of iron tree situation was going on that I worked out with this scene, man. Got a pretty cool shot right here. Trouble Bubble snuck up on the guys. Somebody's got the track on them, got the bead on them. And it looks like they had a friend help them out. Swamp Thing actually turned out to be a pretty good guy. Junkyard picked that up. And as you can see, he caught the Trouble Bubble in midair. He's got the Trouble Bubble in one hand, and then he's got the guy who coughed out of it in the other, man. And he's standing up free-handedly on his own. It's just, I got the perfect balance. Any false move right now will make that thing fall, man. But pretty cool scene, man, with Swamp Thing catching the guy in the Trouble Bubble. And of course we know Swamp Thing is a good guy. He just looks hideous and grotesque. Alright, so who's ready for story time? Pretty much we're going to compile all the pictures together that we took and go ahead and pick up with the story from what we were going through the last week with On the Run and Behind Enemy Lines. And today's episode is called The Hike. And basically what the hike is the guys got away from Cobra on the river, which was the last episode, and now they're down a little bit. They've gotten away. They think they can pretty much get a clean getaway. So what they have to do is set the boat on fire. And from that, destroy anything that pretty much can trace back to them, or a dog can pick up a scent or anything like that. And then from that fire, Recondo makes a torch, a tiki torch basically, to walk them through this long, heavily dense jungle, which they try to have to navigate and remember how to get back to G.I. Joe HQ. So the guys set their way. They have Mutt and Junkyard. And Junkyard is really good because he can pick up on stuff. For some odd reason, with this hike, I just feel like they're being followed. You can't necessarily smell this thing. You can't see this thing, but you almost have a feeling that something is lurking in the cut, man. But they just keep trekking on, and then finally, after a while, that something that they felt finally emerges. And it's basically a moment where you basically say, what the is this, man? Basically. And this thing has them set back a little bit too. But the cool thing about it is they have Junkyard with them. Junkyard, God bless a man's best friend, because Junkyard can pick up on a good king spirit. And also, God bless those hands that Hasbro gave Mutt, because now these dog calling hands can also be signal hands, like I said before in the field, to hold you up, like ho, 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 ho. If Junkyard is running over there, I mean, to this creature, it has to have some type of good spirited about it. And lo and behold, it does. An unlikely ally in the dark, Swamp Thing. But in the storyline here, I'm playing it off like he's a Cobra scientist, that Cobra did some wrong too. And you know how that goes. They always experiment on people, and he got caught up in an experiment where he got mixed up with herbal life and plant life, and he's now this Swamp Thing. So he's not a bad guy, he just looks like a monster. He actually hates Cobra too, and he wants to help these Joes out. And of course, letting him know that Junkyard really likes this guy, just like man's best friend, dog's best friend, a tree. So Junkyard makes himself comfortable, and Mutt is quite embarrassed. But they make amends, and they found out they have a new ally. But on top of that feeling of being chased, there was one Cobra Trooper that kept up with them. And ironically, it's the first Cobra Trooper from the first episode, Behind Enemy Lines. That's one that was in the Trouble Bowl. If you go back to that episode, I say he pretty much got cropped out. Well, he was in the cut, and he found the Joes. He was only able to get accessible to them and follow them. And he's got the drop on them, and he's bombarding them. And if it wasn't for this Swamp Thing friend that they just made an ally of, a friend out of, they wouldn't have made it through. He pretty much takes that Televiper out, no problem. No problem helping out the Joes. So, the Joes make their way still down, trying to get back to the HQ. And that's pretty much what the next episode of The Table will be. It's called the HQ. They finally make it to Joe headquarters. My man Swamp Thing is going to help them trail and get to where they need to be. He knows exactly where the Joes are, and this jungle is heavily densed. So they're going to need a guide, man, and he's going to help them out. And it's always cool to have some extra protection, because you got to think these guys are tired, hungry. They had a daring escape, drove in a boat, blew it up, walked miles through dense jungle, came across some 15-foot tall Swamp Thing, man. Something you've never even seen before, man. So they've been through quite a bit, man. So it's good to find an ally. It's good that he helped them take out that trouble bowl. But it's never over. It almost seems like there's a presence lurking still. Can't smell, can't see, but there's something tracking us. Well, that will do it for this week's episode of The Table. I'm glad you guys came through to kick it with me one more time, man. For the storytelling, for the behind the scenes on how the shots are made, man. I actually have a lot of fun. And I'll put a side note also too, man. Now, I know I crapped on McFarlane a couple of weeks ago, and I still will, because he's very hit and miss. The figures are mostly dog crap. But there are some jewels in McFarlane's line. Like I said, this Swamp Thing is one of them. I've never got a chance to actually get and play with this guy, man, and do some photos with him, man. But he is the truth, man. He definitely is. Also, Violator looks like that's a good figure from McFarlane. And once you start working this Swamp Thing more and more, the better he gets in articulation. But once again, with McFarlane, I don't understand what it is. They're ratcheted joints, but they're not the strongest joints. They get quite loose, even though they're ratcheted. So he just basically shoots himself in the foot. But this right here looks awesome on camera. Once you start lighting them up and putting that light on, it brings out all the colors and hues, man. And I had a lot of fun, and he went perfect with this G.I. Joe episode. But this is the table. If you can, give me a like, comment, subscribe. If you want, hit me up on my Instagram at Geppetto910. This is a Savage Land. We do this for the love and beauty of action figures and building huge G.I. Joe dioramas. And with that being said, until the next time, God bless.